Belichick's defense spit the bit again, and they get a pass for this. Belichick got a pass because Eli Manning took the Giants 83 yards in 12 plays and hit Plaxico with the game-winning touchdown. Okay, that wasn't Brady's fault. Again, you say, well, they only scored 14 points. Well, at least they scored enough that I thought they were going to win the football game. So I think Belichick cost him a 7th and then cost him an 8th for sure because he allowed, and we're going to talk about Nick Foles here in a few minutes, Bill Belichick allowed Nick Foles to hang 41 on his defense in a Super Bowl game.
But Skip, in the games that you say they lost, what about the games that they won that they could have lost? They could have lost that first one. They could have lost to Carolina. They could have lost to Seattle. So you just can't say, okay, yeah, he's 6-3, and he could have been 8-1. He also could have been 3-5. He could have easily been 4-5. So you just can't say take the losses and say they should be wins without saying the wins could have been losses.
Was he flawless in playing his part to set up the game-winning field goals in every situation we just talked about? Yes.
Skip wasn't flawless up until those situations, in some of those situations.
In the fourth quarter against the Legion of Boom, he threw for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns to bring them from 24-14 down to the lead. And then I'll give you this, it's debatable about the last decision, the play called, but Russell Wilson threw a really good pass that hit Lockett, I thought, about right there, and it was the greatest break on a football by a cornerback I have ever seen.
Well, we see what Russell does in that stadium, so it's not very good.
Well, maybe that's the case. But there's stats in the Athletic article you referred to by Mike Sando about Josh McDaniels. If you look at his record with Tom Brady and without Tom Brady, it's just a joke what happened, because that they are outrageously good with Tom Brady. They're averaging, with Josh McDaniels, with Brady, they averaged more points dating back to 2005 than any other team in the league, 27 points a game. And then without Tom Brady, when he's been a head coach other places, he's averaged 18 points a game. So again, did Tom Brady get Josh McDaniels some jobs that he didn't deserve? Yeah.
He got a lot of people jobs.
Okay. Yep.
He got Charlie Weiss the job. He got Bill O'Brien the job.
He did.
Those defensive coordinators, Skip, they got jobs because of him.
All because of Tom Brady. And Shannon, what he is doing, and I'll give you this, just so far in Tampa, but that's the point. We're only 7 games in, and he's already recreating the Patriot way in Tampa.
Yes.
All of a sudden, they're playing the cleanest football in the league after that debacle on that Thursday night in Chicago, which they actually needed to get through. They lost 20-19.
Right.
And Brady got dinged at the end of the game, and you were all over ridiculing him about, where am I? And then what happened? Aaron Rodgers happened. And then what happened? At Raiders happened. And they're clean games with high touchdowns. He's now 15-1, 15 touchdowns to 1 interception over his last 5 games. And you can just see him recreating Patriots South in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And you see the numbers that he's putting up. They lead the league in point differential. That's outrageously good, because I remind you, they had no preseason games. They had to do mostly virtual OTAs. He had a brand new offense with a brand new coaching staff and brand new receivers who he barely knew. And look at him now. And they've been all beat to hell in their receiving core, like a lot of teams have, but he didn't have Chris Godwin for 3 games, and Mike Evans still doesn't look right. And Pro Football Focus concludes that he should be, Tom Brady, the MVP frontrunner. You threw those numbers at me, I'll throw these back at you. Do you realize that Tom Brady so far, in what they call big-time throws, he has 24 of those, including, I think, 3 more on Sunday at Raiders, to bring him to 24. That's first in the NFL. God, that's good. How about turnover-worthy plays by Tom Brady? He has only 3 all year, which is tied for first in the NFL. They rate him in just their overall quarterback rating 3rd best in the league right now. Is that good?
That's good. But he's rated 3rd, though. Their
conclusion is there's no reason he shouldn't be considered a front runner for the 2020 NFL MVP.
Well, Skip, we mentioned that yesterday. I believe he's in there. Russ opened the door and let a lot of other people, because Russ had the door closed. But he opened the door, and he allowed Brady to walk in. He allowed Rodgers to walk in. Mahomes has walked back in. I think, Ben was at the door knocking, and then he realized no one was home, because those 3 interceptions really hurt. But yes, he's going to be in the end, and he was always going to be in the end because of Tampa's record, considering what they were last year, the previous year, and what they were this year. Just like Peyton Manning, when he got there, although they won the division, they were 8-8. Skip, 8-8 is one thing winning division. You go 8-8 to 13-3, what Peyton did his first year, obviously. But the things, if you go back and look at it, you look at the teams that have won multiple MVPs in a short period of time. You look at the Steelers, they won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. What did they have? Lights out, outstanding defense. You look at your Cowboys. Although the defense don't get credit, Skip, because they get big names on offense, the Irvins, the Smith, the Aikmans, you know their defenses were unbelievable.
Starting with Charles Haley. Yep.
You look at the 49ers, Skip. The 49ers defense don't get any credit. Skip, they were unbelievable in the 80s.
Totally agree.
So, in what Tom had in New England, although, Skip, they're not any big names. They didn't have an Aaron Donald or LT, or they didn't have anything like that. He had a lot of pieces that he could plug, and they played extremely well together.
Okay. So, the point is, what this man is doing at 43 is so extraordinary because he's doing it so quickly. And here comes Antonio Brown. We're going to talk about him in just a few minutes. And it's now to the point that Mike Sando concludes in the piece that you brought up. Last line is, the Patriots could be just like a lot of other teams, scrapping it out from week to week, not quite sure what the future holds, but increasingly sure it won't come close to approximating the past.
No.
That's where we are right now with New England. And you can say it's too early to write them completely off, but you're seeing them get exposed as sort of just another team with just another pretty good coach who's trying from week to week to figure it out. And this piece points out that with Cam, he got off to a sensational start, and then the league said, as you know this league will do, timeout. Let's just load up that box because we still don't believe he can beat us with his arm consistently. Let's take the run completely away from him and from his team.
Right.
And then let's see what happens.
Because you don't have anybody that can win one-on-one consistently.
Okay. And now what's happening with Cam, do you realize over his last 10 games, he's 4 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. That dates back to obviously the Carolina when he was all beat to hell. But the point is, people are saying you can't beat us with your arm consistently. He almost beat Seattle with his arm.
Correct.
But can you do it every game? Well, obviously the last couple, it could be a COVID reason. I give you some pass for that one. But in the end, I just think the script has been flipped because now a lot of these anonymous quotes in the Sando piece are saying, hey, it actually comes down to Tom Brady could erase all those shortcomings and all those in-game problems. And there's no doubt that he could.
There's no question that a great quarterback is the greatest deodorant for anything that transpires on the team. He can cover up lack of talent on the offense. He can make amends and make atonement for bad defenses. There's no question about that. That's always been the case. And Tom Brady might be the greatest deodorant. But, Skip, as you mentioned, there's a culture. If you look at the Miami Heat, they don't have a D-Wade. They don't have a LeBron James, but they have a culture that's been established, okay? LeBron James took a lot of that culture that he learned and brought it other places. You look at when he went back to Cleveland, you look at what he's done in L.A. That's a culture thing. So what Tom Brady did is that he took what he learned in those 20 years in New England, and he brought that because he's the greatest guy to be able. I'm sure there are other guys, Skip, that played in that culture, that tried to go places, but they don't have that.
I agree.
So when you have that and you can go somewhere, he can set up shop anywhere and it'll work.
And you say, what's he have now? Top 5 defense, maybe a top 1 defense?
I think they're eighth in points and like 5th in yards or something like that.
Okay, but I had to sell you when Tom Brady shocked the NFL world by picking the Succaneers. I had to sell you on Todd Bowles' defense because I said, Shannon, look at what happened the last 4 or 5 games of last year when they went 7-9. They were a turnover machine because Jameis was a turnover machine. And yet I said that defense has front 7 talent. And Todd Bowles is, for me, top 3 coordinator, defensive coordinator. He's not the greatest head coach, hasn't proven to be. But when he's called